Waiting for the cat's tail to move. Oh, no. I don't know. Shalom, everybody. I wanted to get into a topic today about a particular passage that came to mind. I kind of got into somewhat of a discussion slash debate slash argument slash this is going nowhere, we should just probably stop now kind of talk with some people. And it reminded me, actually I had spoken with my aunt, and she had reminded me of a particular passage in Romans chapter 1, one that is actually very familiar, I think, in the mainstream Christian world, and something I wanted to kind of talk about on here, and I would love some feedback on. I'll read it, it's going to be in the New King James Version, but I'll go into it. You'll see. I'll just start reading. I'm going to start with the actual verse. The context kind of speaks for itself. And okay, it's Romans 1:28. And even as they did not like to retain God in knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind to do those things which are not fitting. I'll stop there. Now, the word that I'll really focus on more is debased. I think most translations say reprobate mind. They're handed over to a reprobate mind. I'll talk about both words really because they're both synonymous. A debased mind is to be diminished in morality. It's kind of like, you know, your morals have gone from this level down to here kind of thing. It's, you know, you've been debased. Reprobate, to have a reprobate mind has a lacking in principles. You have no base for principles, you know, those kind of things. So it's all about morality, what is right, what is wrong, and not really having a kind of an overhead of what that is. And this is an interesting thing to me as a person who shares the word of Jehovah, mostly because it deals with the people that we are to talk to, and it's sort of a place of concern, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's not really something that you really focus on, and you'll see what I mean in a minute, I think. But I was reading over that, and what caught my mind is the fact that you're reaching out to certain people who don't seem to they don't understand, they don't get it. These are the type of people who they call God tyrannical, they call you know, the law, you know, a burden, and so on. They seem to have their own idea of morality, what is right, what is wrong. You know, today's world, especially here in America, we call it political correctness. And people come from a place where if they disagree with certain laws or standards, they'll, you know, they basically open up their mind and tell you what they believe is right and what is wrong. And an example of that would be, let's say, you know, speed limit's 55 miles per hour. Well, a person who's driving on that road where the speed limit is 55 miles per hour, they'll say basically that that's not a good law for them. It doesn't really apply because they know better. You know, they can handle higher speeds. So that, you know, they think it's okay to go to 60 or 65 miles per hour, and so on. That's kind of debasing your principles, rather than being respectful of the laws of the land and going in sync with what it says. The speed limit, you're limited to 55 miles per hour, therefore you will not exceed or overstep those boundaries. So that's kind of the idea of I mean, it's a very dumbed down version of it, but that's kind of the idea that he's talking about here. And this, let me go ahead and go past that. I'll go in 29. He says, being filled with all unrighteousness, sexual immorality, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. Today, within our place in history, if you want to call it that, the modern age, here in America, it seems like everything that man once called evil and wicked is becoming okay. You know, we just had the court ruling, the federal government Supreme Court ruling that homosexual marriages are now legal, even though there are some states that are still banning it. The federal government acknowledges it as lawful. It's, you know, it's basically okay to the federal government that you know, same-sex marriages you know, take place. So they, you know, they acknowledge that. And you know, a few decades ago, of course, there was a Roe versus Wade, something like that. You know, the whole thing about abortion, the killing of the infant child inside the womb of a woman, abortion. You know, at a time, and still, I believe a lot of people still believe this too. I'm one of them. That abortion is murder, and so on. So, you know, you keep seeing things get. Oh, it's okay now. It's okay now. Okay, well that used to be evil, but we've evolved now, so it's okay now. You know, and not to offend any, you know, internationals in America, but you know, the courts are now ruling, which this was Obama's idea, but whatever, to say that, okay, if you're here illegally, you know, that's not a problem. We'll make you a citizen. You know, let's get them some papers. Instead of, you know, protecting our country. There's a lot of, you know, debate about it, and I'm not going to get into all that. But what I'm seeing in our world is that literally everything, like us as a nation, as a people group, we are, I shouldn't say we because, you know, I don't agree with any of this, but it's becoming a reprobate system. It's a system of being debased. It's a debased system. We're a lawless country under the guise of, you know, political correctness and, you know, freedom of speech and everything else, which, you know, I agree with freedom of speech, and, you know, I agree with things like that, the pursuit of happiness and everything that our forefathers stood for, but people today are taking it to an all-new level. Well, I shouldn't say all-new level, but they're taking it to way past what it was originally meant to be. This idea of the reprobate mind. Let me get back into this as far as spiritual and ministry matters. You know, I deal with people, and I'm sure many of you out there deal with people who, you know, maybe atheists or maybe even people who say they believe in God, but they don't really show it in their lifestyle or their actions. You know, these are the people that are of a reprobate mind. What Shaul or Paul here in Romans 1 is talking about. These kind of people, you know, just before he stated that, he's talking about homosexuality. I'll read in verse 26. For this reason, God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another, men with men committing what is shameful and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error, which was due. Now, this isn't a chapter bashing strictly on homosexual unrighteousness, but, you know, he goes into all forms of wickedness and evil. But he says that this kind of person has a reprobate mind. He says God gave them over to a debased mind. I think there's a lot of debate about what that necessarily means. It doesn't mean that God gave them this mindset, or is it kind of like, you know, he's just like, he's placed them in that category. He's like, okay, well, you're basically a reprobate now, kind of thing. I think it's the latter, where basically this person has gone so far out there that they are of that mindset, and that is what he has given them to, is just that, okay, well, you know, that's what you are now. But, you know, in other terminologies, we can consider that these people are of lawlessness. Now, you know, there's probably some of you who are watching this, because of some of the tags I put on, you might have found this video. The most popular thought that comes with our particular faith is judge not lest ye be judged. And I agree, Scripture does say that, but we have to understand that, for one, we of our faith, call us Hebrews, Messianics, Christians, whatever, we are of this world, but we are in this world, but not of it. Don't let me misspeak. And because of that, we have to live in this world for a time, but we're not of this world. That means that we are not really of this system of beliefs that you may have adopted throughout your life. You've heard the doctrines of politicians and so on that say, that we are to evolve into some kind of new age where, we should allow, man and man and woman and woman and abortion, what have you. We believe in a law which we call Torah. It's those of us, at least in the Hebrew roots of the Messianic Judaism, we believe in what is called Torah, the instructions of the Almighty Jehovah, the God of all creation. We live based on His kingdom, and that, as our country, as me as an American look at my country, we're all looking for, they're all looking for tolerance of others' beliefs. But the sad thing about that is that we, in our faith, we are becoming the ones who are not being tolerated anymore, because our way of life is God's way that He intended for us to live. So when our government takes this road out there somewhere that goes completely 180 degrees away from the Word of God, we can't follow that. We can't submit to that, because that would place us in sin. Sin, by definition, is being in disobedience and rebellion against God's law. So we just can't do that. Now, basically, you can hate on us for that, but the truth is that you're now being the intolerant ones. This is a Kindle, but I'm using a Bible app. We go based off of what the spoken and written word of our Creator, our God, our King, has said, that this is right, you will keep this way, and you will be set apart from the world. So I'm sorry, we can't join you in what you think is right, because according to God's law, you are wrong. And we just can't accept that. Now, speaking to my brothers and sisters out there, I didn't really anticipate myself going on that rant, but to my brothers and sisters, we are in a world of, reprobate-minded people. It's difficult. It really takes a toll on your mind, on your spirit, your soul, rather. But I want to encourage you not to lose heart, because Yeshua said, "Go and make disciples." We're going to deliver this message, whether they accept it or not. We're not supposed to go out there and convert people. We're out here. We're here in this world. What time is it? Okay. My wife's probably going to call me in about 10 minutes. I've got to wrap it up because I'm using my phone, and if she calls it, I'll interrupt it. But we still have to deliver the message. It's unpopular. Highly, highly unpopular. And the one thing Obama did get right in all of his presidency is to state that we are not a Christian nation. That is true. As a nation, America has lost its way. But still, we have to continue and deliver that message. That is our commission on earth, and whatever country you live in. If you've been called to another country, fine. I haven't, as far as I know. But the key point here is that we have to realize that the people that we're dealing with, they have their own principles. And you probably, if you've watched any of my more recent videos, you've heard me talk about this book that I'm writing. The next chapter that I'm about to start working on is about an anti-Messiah and an anti-Torah. And it's the spirit of lawlessness, the mystery of iniquity, if you will. The anti-Messiah system, the spirit of anti-Messiah, spirit of anti-Torah. These people who Shaul or Paul mentions being of a reprobate mind. These are people who are against the Torah of our Creator. Our faith is in the perfect Torah of Jehovah. We know that this is the way of life. They have chosen the way of death. And when you're speaking to these people, I want to encourage you not to be discouraged. Realize when, you're not going to get through, and so on, but you still have to at least try to deliver that message to them. Be there for them if they have questions or whatever. If they want to have a mature discussion or, be rational about things, sure, engage them. But we have to realize that that's the world that we're in. Don't be discouraged. Sometimes it'll be great. Sometimes you'll be able to talk to a person and they'll receive what you have to say. And in those times, it's wonderful. It's great. For me, it's rare and far in between, but, I just want, I got on this meditation of what a reprobate-minded person is, and it did sadden me. I know people, they get set in their ways, and they just can't see the truth. It's like pork. Bear with me. Scripturally speaking, the definition of food does not allow for pork or pig meat. Pig meat by definition is not food. So we can't call it food, and therefore that's why we don't eat it. So when we see the wickedness in the world, we cannot categorize that as right or good. Because the Almighty did not define it as that. But the world has. They have defined, premarital sex and, abortion and homosexuality. They are the ones who have deemed these things okay, and that is that spirit of anti-Messiah and anti-Torah at work in our world. I want to encourage you, though. I keep saying this, though. And this is what my book is all about, is what we should focus on, is that, yes, we have to get that message out. But it's not just preaching at them. It's not just trying to convince them or anything like that. It's showing them that they are loved. Even though they are out there, they're secular, they're reprobate-minded, their principles are just shot like crazy, there's still love for them. I believe it was Yeshua who said that, Yehovah is love. And he who is without love is without Yehovah, for Yehovah is love. So we have to love them. I am somewhat familiar with a particular passage that says that, Yehovah hates all workers of iniquity. But I'm telling you that I believe that our commission is to go out and even speak to the people that are in a place that is without morality, because we do serve a moral Elohim, a moral God, and we can't throw our own frustrations out there and everything else. We have to basically band together as brothers and sisters, servants and warriors for Yehovah, ministers and teachers and messengers, and just share that good news with them, that there is a Torah of love. It leads to life. That is where love is. And Yeshua, he spoke of himself, being the Messiah, he spoke of himself as the way, the truth, and the life. And being the Torah and the Word made man, he is who we follow after. It's his way of life. And that's where you'll find true happiness. Everything else, it's a counterfeit. You think you find happiness in all these dark pleasures and these wicked ways, but the truth is that that's not where it's at. That is a heavy burden, and we really need to be looking to higher and greater things. That's what I have to say. I guess I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but I felt like I needed to share that, so I did. I couldn't shake it. Over the weekend, I couldn't shake this whole thought process, and I just felt like, maybe I need to just record this and get it out there. That's pretty much it. Be looking for more videos. I am continuing on with my teaching series and everything. I'm actually going to put this in the playlist that I created coming out of lawlessness, because this, for us as believers in Yeshua, followers, believers in Yeshua, and children of Jehovah, I really think that that's where it's at. That's what the focus needs to be on, especially today, is living Torah, living righteously, and showing that to the world. And it's, like I said, it's a Torah of love. And every command, every instruction that we've been given, it was given out of love, and it was expected to be followed in love, and shared in love, ultimately. So, thanks for listening this long. Wow, 20 minutes. Shalom to you.